I just watched the Imaginarium of Dr. Parasus, and the production of this movie is so interesting. And if you're a fan of Heath Ledger, please watch the whole video. It's really interesting. I guarantee you, you're going to come away with a really heartwarming but also kind of sad story. The movie stars Christopher Plummer, Andrew Garfield, and the subject of today's video, Heath Ledger. Nowadays, when people bring up Heath Ledger, it's impossible to not think of his iconic and just legendary performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight, but the dude has a ton of bangers in his career. This movie, though, is his last movie, the last film. A lot of people think that it was Dark Knight, but it's actually this movie. The story here is, it's crazy, and it's sad, and it's also beautiful, and I'm excited to tell you, because you should know about this. This is like some film kind of history right here. It's really cool. I don't want to get too much into the whole story of the whole plot of the actual film, but pretty much what you have to know is stars Heath Ledger in a role where he's kind of like, he works for a carnival, right? Where Heath Ledger and Andrew Garfield, they bring people into Christopher Plummer's like circus show, but what he actually does is take them to a full manifestation of their whole imagination. Actually, it's kind of cool because this is actually Gwendolyn Christie's film debut too. So that's cool. So when you have a movie that handles the full just envisionment, that's not a word, envisionment, the whole personification of someone's imagination, you're going to have these crazy, fantastical CGI heavy dream sequences. All of these big sequences star Heath Ledger's character in the primary role. In pretty much all of these dream sequences, these big fantastical things, Heath Ledger's character is the main guy moving around them. From everything I've looked into, it seems that these big scenes are the last things that the production actually filmed, probably because they were so CGI heavy. Unfortunately, Heath Ledger passed away during the production of this movie, and he filmed a few tidbits for these big CGI scenes, but he never got to film the whole thing. So naturally, that led to a big problem for the whole production, because how are you going to film very important scenes that take place in the beginning, middle, and end of the movie without one of your lead actors, the main guy who's supposed to be in these scenes? It's very unfortunate, and production stopped for quite a few months when Heath Ledger passed away tragically. And again, the whole production of this movie was kind of up in the air. People didn't really know what was going to happen with it. But then some fantastic beasts came up and they saved the day. Of course, we get Grindelwald 1, Colin Farrell, Grindelwald 2, Johnny Depp, and Dumbledore .5, Jude Law. Pretty much these three actors stepped up and they each took a dream sequence to play Heath Ledger's character, Tony. So in the first dream sequence, Heath Ledger jumps into this mirror, and as he comes out on the other side, in the imagination of this other lady, he looks like her dream guy, who looks like Johnny Depp.
Who are you, dear?
So for the remainder of that dream sequence, he's played by Johnny Depp, and I think it's really cool. The second dream sequence, he's played by Jude Law, and the third one, which is probably my favorite and the most villainous of all of them, he's played by Colin Farrell, who is how Heath Ledger's character, Tony, he envisions himself as like the perfect guy who's Colin Farrell in this magazine.
I always dreamed you'd be like this.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic, but that's not the best part. Obviously, these guys are expensive, and when you already have Heath Ledger, Christopher Plummer, Andrew Garfield, all these other people, Tom Waits, it's gonna be hard to afford those guys. So what happened is the three actors, the three Fantastic Beasts who came on to save the day, they gave all of their paychecks to Heath Ledger's daughter, Matilda. It's a beautiful story that gives me faith in humanity, and it makes the tragic passing of Heath Ledger, it gives a little bit of, like a little beacon of hope, a beacon of light. It's really cool. The movie's cool. I wouldn't say it's like 10 out of 10 or anything like that. I would say I enjoyed it though, but I think you should watch it just because it's really interesting. Like I said, it's kind of a historical movie in film, and if you're curious about Heath Ledger or if you liked him in Dark Knight, I think you should check it out. It's a very fascinating movie in that sense. It's really cool. Shout out to all those actors. Super cool stuff. And that about sums up my story.